How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious, and welcome to this week's edition of Should You Summon? This is going to be one of the most unique Should You Summon videos I have ever done, because we're starting not with the discussion of the banners, though I need to say it's the 15x for Xena, a brand new hero, and Brokkir, and not going through tier ratings like we so often do. No, instead, I'm starting off with a full hero showcase exemplifying why Xena is the best at what she is designed for in the game. That is crazy burst magic DPS that you cycle on and off the field. She is nuts. So let's get to it. A showcase in Gear Raid 5, aka Gear Dungeon 2. You'll get to see the full effect of her 25-second ult that is activated instantaneously upon her deployment, as well as her Infernal Passion passive, which is stacking very significant damage boosts on every single deployment. Without further ado, Gear Raid 5, Gear Dungeon 2, Xena, Stage 10, stupidly strong hero for this nutty showcase. Let's get to it. Now, normally I do not do gameplay in a Should You Summon video, but you need to get a little taste of Xena. She is specific, she is niche, but she is the best hero in the game for what she does, and that is a cycle on, cycle off hero with stupid burst. So let's start the video with this Xena Gear Dungeon 2, aka Gear Raid 5, Stage 10. This is the comp. You can see Power of Dominance was off. This is not a guide. I just want to showcase her, so I'll show you her gear. A0, great gear, tons of crit damage, nice crit rate. We were able to go such high crit damage because her base attack is insanely high for a magic DPS. Just an awesome hero, and she's got a Wailing Skull on her to boot. Max skills, obviously. Let's get right into battle. I might do a little fast forwarding, maybe not. It is just about showing off Xena, but this is how we're starting the video, so I don't want to have it taken too long. First things first, let's grab our Volca. We got her here. I'll show you the initial setup, and then we'll fast forward to Xena. How about that? I won't fast forward that fast either, so you can take it in. Basically, we have our knockback hero here with Edith, AoE physical damage here with Miss Volca, and finally, we got Elwyn for heals and just global rage regen, and the Wood Elf is really important. So this is the setup. We'll get Valeria down here to help with the left. That's where the first physical clone comes down. We wait. Put a Wood Elf down, pick a Wood Elf up. That's 3 net costs generated, 5 costs to place, 8 costs to refund when you pick them up. Let's wait till we kill this guy. As soon as it dies, we trigger here. Big burst. Let's go down with Brokkir. We got Hot Sit here in the Ichor Chalice. It's a good comp, obviously. I'm on the test server. All right, Xena time. So this part we don't have to fast forward to, but the next couple we will. Because why not? See the setup, see the Xena. Throw us on 1x so we can really all take it in. I'm still going to focus on the left here with Valeria. Boom, trigger her, trigger. All right. When this guy's about to start moving, we play Xena. She has 25 seconds with max skill ups, right? We don't need anything close to that. So we place her. She lights up yellow. Insta ult on deployment. That's how she works. Now watch her. 400k per hit. If it wasn't for Hot Sit, she takes this down in 5 hits. It's going to be a bit more because Hot Sit with the physical damage is going to heal it up. But look at this. It's just boom, 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 boom. It's too easy. It really is. Let's let her do her thing. Keep it on 1x here so you can really enjoy it. All right, so it's about 10 hits. We pick her up and it's with less than 20 seconds. Incredible. She is incredible. All right, we'll fast forward to the next Xena deploy. All right, Xena time number 2. Still got to manage the left first, so give me 1 second. Let's wait for Valeria. All right, trigger. Nice. Trigger on the bottom as well. All right, see you start moving. Doesn't matter. We got the insta ult with Xena. Let's get Brokkir going. And again, enjoy these hits. Now it's her second deploy, so she's gotten the boost from her passive. She's now hitting for 434 per hit. Complete and utter delete button. We'll let her chunk it out a bit. First, get the kill, and then I'll ult with Hot Sit. Xena's doing the Lord's work. 1 more hit. That time was about, I think, 6 or 7 hits is all it took. Let's pick her up. Let's trigger with Hot Sit. Beautiful. All right, we'll go to the end of the fight. That's basically all of Xena's glory. That's her two main big bursts. I'll still show you her a little bit at the end if you want to get a little extra use. See you in a second. All right, here's the final use. She's got that long range, third deploy now. Even though you'll see these guys have the purple shield, that means they need physical damage. At this point, on the third deploy with the big passive boost, stacking, we got 3 stacks now. It's pretty significant that she can still deal any damage at all with how high these guys have their magic resistance. So I figured I would show that off. So you see, she's still hitting for, what is it? There's crits there for 19k, which might not seem like much, but with up to hitting 5 targets, those guys have sky-high magic resistance. That's what those purple shields mean. It's saying no magic damage to us. She's still helping. She's still doing stuff, which is, it's remarkable. She's so good. Granted, she is niche because she needs to be cycled on and off, because once this bar runs out, she's not the same hero. But there we go. First clear on my test server. I finally had a reason to do Gear Dungeon 2, Gear 8.5. Xena is a superstar. She really is. So I think I probably will make a guide for her at some point because I really want to show her off in the guild bosses. Really Guild Boss 1, because when you do cycle strat, she is the ideal cycle unit if you run an Infernal comp. We're going to get into her ratings and stuff now. But you can see she's doing exactly what Hex is doing. It's limited what damage she can do based on her targets. But a goddess for this. I think she's probably the single best unit in the game for dealing with that middle lane. So there, you see, she is insane. She is as strong as she possibly could be for what she was designed to do. But now let's get into the specifics of the fact that what she's designed to do is really specific, right? She is intended to be a cycle unit. To me, she's like the legendary melee version of Amani, one of my favorite epics in the game. These heroes have crazy ults on deployment. With her, it is required. That's the only way for her to ult, similar to like an Aatrox, for example. And because of that, it makes the kit require you to bring them on and off the field. So you can't use that in all content. But we're going to go over the content you can do that and how she is just unmatched for that content. And I'm also going to talk you through some creative ways you might be able to use her. She's a really cool hero. So I mentioned it. There is a 15x this weekend starting tomorrow. The special divine summoning and the special invocation of spirits. This is for our gold summons. This is for our blue summons. 15x rate up on Xena and Brokkir. I'm taking this moment very quickly to say these are good epics. Mari, fantastic. Obviously, you get her for free, but some of the best awakenings in the game for an epic. You're going to want her A5 eventually. She's an S+ hero for what she does. Meriel, who the heck cares? Useless in everything except for faction trials. And then we got Hollow, who is a top 5 epic in the game, probably a top 3 epic. Completely amazing. I think they juiced her rates. She seems to be dropping more now, but she's someone everyone needs. She is top tier. So if you're on the fence about this banner, don't summon on the banner unless you're a new account for the epics. But if you're on the fence, maybe the epics will push you over. Not everyone should go for this banner, though. That is without a doubt. Brokkir, top S+, amazing tank in the game. Top 3 tank, full stop. In almost all content, he's one of the 2 best tanks. It's always him or Cyrus. Really, really crazy. And then we got Xene. So let's go to Xena over here. Now we're back on the test server, and you can see the whole kit. Let's get into the specifics. I'm not going to do a full breakdown. The whole kit is like, hey, deploy her, and then she'll be nuts. The ult lasts for 25 seconds, then pick her up and get ready to deploy her again. We got to start with the stats. They're through the roof. 6,444 attack is tremendously high for a magic damage dealing fighter. It's like normal high levels for a fighter as if she was doing physical damage, but for a magic damage dealing fighter, this is supremely high. Very, very good. Phenomenal. HP is really, really good, and that's significant. We'll talk about that in a second when we go over the talent. The defense is even solid. The magic res is meh. The cost is phenomenal, and you'll see with the kit is even better than it looks here. 17 is great for a hero with her range. Unfortunately, all that stuff is adjusting right now, so let's go here. You can see she has the very standard 2.6 second attack interval. My build brought it down to 1.5. And yeah, the rest of the stuff, pretty nice. Rage Regen auto does not matter because she's not going to ever be rebuilding an ult. She can only ult on deployment, so you must cycle her on and off. Same thing with Rage Regen off of the basic attack. So let's go to the kit really quickly. The talent, when she is deployed on that deployment, for 30 seconds, which is significant because at max skill ups, her ult lasts for 25 seconds. So full overlap there. She's going to have a post-deployment boost of her attack by 20%, and then she's going to have full damage reductions, reducing all incoming damage by 30%. With that high base attack, with the decent defense, with the fact that you could put a lunacy visor on her for tons of content, especially as you're progressing and like bosses and void rifts, stuff like that, she can definitely tank. When that boss is coming, let her tank, burst it down, get her out. That's going to be a very cool use for her. In something like the Lasir boss in Void Rift, she is going to be completely phenomenal. So good. You'll also see all of her attacks inflict burning. There's 3 parts to this talent. They're all separate things. So instant deployment, you got the post-deployment boost of attack by 20% with the damage reductions of 30%. That lasts 30 seconds. That's thing number 1. Number 2, all damage she deals places a burning. It's your typical, as you can see, they're not telling us, but it's a 5-second burning, 20% continuous damage. And then finally, that first deployment, she's dirt cheap, 11 costs. So that makes her a little bit viable in arena. And then just normally for PvP stuff, especially as you're progressing, it just makes it easy because she's only 11 cost on that first use, as you guys saw in Gear Raid 4 just now. Gear Raid 5, excuse me. Gear Dungeon 2, Gear Raid 5. There you go. Let's get to the kit now. We're going to start with the ult because that's all that matters. You place her, she ults for 25 seconds, and that is a second post-deployment attack boost. These are separate things, guys. So another 30%. Crit damage up by 80%. Each attack is juiced up. So she has these normal basic attacks that don't matter because you're going to pick her up, or most times you're going to pick her up 95% of the time. But now it's juiced up 150%, 5 target hitter on all her hits while she's ulting those first 25 seconds. The less targets there are, the damage goes up. So she starts becoming a single target unit, not a multi-target unit. So if there are more units, she'll do a little less damage, but it's a little AoE. There's less units, up down to just 1. Her damage dealt can go all the way up to 300%. So doubling what it would be to those 5 units at the max potential minimum damage dealt. I hope that makes sense. Can only be triggered 1 time per deployment. That's what I'm talking about here. It's not like you get an activation of this on the first deploy, then you can wait a certain amount of time. There's no skill cost, no nothing. It's you deploy her, she does it, and then you can let her sit down here with just this, which is not worth it, 120% damage and nothing else. You'll get a little burning or something, or you cycle her on and off, which is what she is meant to be doing. After this ult ends, she also loses her great range of the 3 tiles in front, goes to a basic boring range. Gross. Her passives now. When the target is inflicted with burning, whether it's from her or someone else, as long as there's at least 1 burning debuff on her, you'll see she deals extra true damage equal to 30% of her attack. Might not seem like much, but that is damage that comes with every single hit. And moreover, the stacks of the burning the target is inflicted with, the more there are, the more damage it can deal, all the way up to 60% true damage based off of her attack. Her damage is already fantastic. This is just an extra boost, and it takes her to 1 level higher for being a real queen at what she does and doing it better than anyone could. Second passive now, we got Infernal Passion. I talked about it very briefly before we did the showcase, but you'll see permanently with each deploy, including the first one, she gets stacks all the way up to 4 stacks, 4 deploys of 15% damage each time. So max stacks is 60%. This is at full skill ups. And that's just extra damage boost. So onto whatever her other damage increases are, that 60% gets thrown on the pile. Pretty darn sweet. So this triggers from the first deploy, from everything I can tell. So from that first deploy, whatever the damage would have been, she's already up 15%. And then 3 additional ones after that. You saw we reached 3, not a max of 4 in the showcase. Pretty significant. I'll take you through the awakenings so quickly because this is going a little longer than I wanted. The Awaken one, I really like it. During her ultimate, which is the whole time if you're using her properly because you're just cycling her out as soon as her ultimate ends, her attacks deal an extra 90% all the way up to 180%, and this is dependent upon the number of targets in range. So if there are 5 targets, it's only 90. If there's 1 target, it goes up to 180, and then depending on any number in between, it will be some damage number in between. The A2, her attack is now up 300, so that puts her attack over 6,700 as a magic damage dealing fighter. Phenomenal. The A3, she gets a 5-second unyielding if she dies during her ultimate. So that's nice if you have her being the tank and it's content where she can't do it herself, or maybe you don't have the lunacy visor. It buys you 5 free seconds for her to, put out some crazy more damage. 8% penetration on the A4, so she's ignoring inherently 8% of the target's magic resistance since she is a magic damage dealing unit. And then finally, A5 during the ultimate, every single attack, so it's going to permanently stay up if there's between 1 and 5 targets in front of her, will inflict magic res reduction. So that's a magic defense break on whatever target she's hitting, and it's a 15% one. It's not as strong as it could be, but it's pretty significant because it's basically guaranteed with every hit unless there are more than 5 targets. It's really nice. She can shred. For an A5, I don't know. I think the A1, honestly, is probably the most exciting there because this says during the ultimate. It's just during always because you're not using her outside of her ultimate. After those 25 seconds, maybe you want to wait to the extra 5, get a couple nice basic attacks while the talent's still going, but most likely you just pick her right up. So that is Xena. Let's go here to the tier list. She has good ratings. I'm giving her an S, not an S+, and that's because she still is a specific hero. She's a very unique kind of unit. You can't just use her everywhere. I'm going to talk you through that now, but she's so good at it, and I could really see with more testing, especially if I pick her up on my account and really get to use her a lot, maybe she is an S+ hero. You know, not every hero needs to be normal to be definitively, unmatched at what they do, which is kind of what she is. But you can kind of compare her to an S+ hero above the other rate-up hero, Brokkir. And as you can see, he's got more S's and S+. That's what makes it feel like an S+ to me. Whereas she's very good, but she feels like an S for now. It is also worth mentioning, if you're on the fence about this banner, this is a banner with an S hero and S+ hero, according to yours truly, right? So it's not, the crazy blow your mind insanity of like a Kagiri banner or, when Beelzebub comes. That's for sure. Potentially Lyra. I need to test her a bit more on that soon. But it's a good one, right? It's a very good banner. You love a banner where both options of the rate-up legendaries are really good. That being said, Brokkir, if you have a copy, as good as his awakenings are, unless you care about GVG a ton, you're probably happy enough with the one copy. So that's an important caveat, making the banner a little less sexy for a lot of people. Let's start with Xena, then we'll quickly go through Brokkir. You can see Guild Boss 1, cycling strats are the meta. Of course, there are top strats that will use like an Eloin comp and don't use Hollow and Laurel. The vast majority of people are using Hollow and Laurel, and you need some other cycle DPS to go onto the field. She's the best in the game. No one will be better than her at that. It is remarkable how good she is and will be for it, and I'm probably going to want to make content on it. Guild Boss 2, I'm giving her an A+. It might seem crazy because you're like, you can't cycle on and off in Guild Boss 2. I would argue you can. Easily up through 120k. The only time you need tons of extra DPS, assuming you have the right teams, the right gear, everything set up nicely, you don't need it for phase 1 and phase 2 each cycle. You don't need it for the Death Saw arm and for the Venom, right? For the poison phase. It's really for the middle towards the end, even on the big, scary, crazy pushes later on. So you could cycle her off just to be used at the beginning of that. A+ is feeling high as I say it out loud because it's also contingent upon you having an infernal team. But I do think for a lot of people, she will completely shred that stage, especially if you have a couple burnings up to take advantage of her first passive. So I actually think there is a use there. Gear Aid 1, I think she actually is phenomenal because cycle units are fairly meta there since a lot of people use Laurel, or you might just only have to use 7 units and you can have a flexible 8th spot where you can use your 8th and 9th hero. Infernal's not super meta, but she might help make it a little better. Keep in mind, she only hits 5 targets, not like 8 or 10 or something. So only A+, and quite frankly, again, I don't know, she can stay at A+ because I often cycle a unit. Someone like a Zarus or an Aatrox or Cerberus, she'll be just as good as a lot of those, depending on the comp you're running. A+ is good. Gear Aid 2, I need to test this out. I'm convinced she's going to be like a goat for this. It's going to be mindless. You never really have 4 targets you need to hit at once. More than that, her stats are so high, and it isn't such endgame content. I think at 221, she will just be a delete button. I'm going to test that out, but I'm confident giving her an S+ here right now. Maybe it goes down to S, but it won't go lower than that. Gear Aid 4, you can use her on top, assuming using Virna on the bottom, so you have anti-heal on top. Then she's phenomenal. She'll do it pretty easily. You'll have time to cycle off, especially if you bring Folka, but she's not going to be elite for it. She's certainly not a Valkyra or a Thalon. Gear Aid 5, yeah, you saw it. She couldn't be better. AMR, cycling isn't meta, but you don't need that much damage. She can definitely help you on auto, like once you have power dominance on those auto runs, get very speedy runs. And in general, she's just going to be good, even helping you clear it for the first time. I'm talking about through 18. And then later on, you have a ton of time to cycle, especially if you're bringing Volca. So then I think we'll have to see strats. Maybe even if she gets an S+ here. Void Rift, I'm only giving her A+ because you don't really cycle, because in Nightmare, you can only bring 8 units. That being said, things like Lasir and special bosses like that, she's going to be close to as good as you're going to get. So that's really cool. Campaign cycling is very doable, can happen a lot, but it's not so needed. So I'm only giving her S, not S+. But obviously, if you have her and you're still progressing through the campaign, her stats are like broken high, so she's going to help a lot. She can also help you burst down the bosses in Chapter 10, which will be very nice, so you can cycle her on and off. Then we got Conquer. I give her a B+ just because she can help you at the end of the fight, but obviously there's not so many opportunities to take her on and off, and Infernal is not meta. But if you just had her, she would work, if you don't have a full account with all these crazy options. Sticks, she gets a C. Doesn't really make sense there, but the burst damage will help you, in between shields at least. You could use her that way if you're just in a younger account trying to get a high number for your account, I should say. Arbiter Frost, she puts out permanent burning, which is great. Infernal is super meta, which is great, but I don't see so many opportunities to cycle her on and off. Not at all. But so yeah, C feels good enough. Guild Wars, I think she's like unusable. You could just like if you put her on your defense, your opponent could just wait her out, right? Those 25 seconds, and they can't control picking her on and off, so she's useless. She might have some BP play, but I don't think it's good enough to confuse people on my tier list and not make it look like she isn't absolutely god awful for your defense, because she is. Single target, I think she works. You can cycle her really fast, crazy burst, and then AoE even better. I could see these numbers being higher if a special meta is developed, but it's going to be hard to do the cycling that fast. If she had lower redeployment time, the way Amani's can go down to 35 seconds with her Awaken level 3, I believe it is. Awaken level 2 or 3. No, it's 3 for Amani. If she had something similar like that, then she could start being really viable for arena and stuff, because it'd be much easier to cycle her. There is a lot of time, sometimes in between, depending on the fight in arena, but it's not something you can count on, so I couldn't rate her too high. But who knows? A special meta could evolve. I think you see why I'm so high on her, but I'm not willing to give her that S+. Now, Brokkir, we're going to do this in less than 1 minute. Him and Cyrus are the two best tanks in the game when it comes to just tanking. I say that as a caveat because, like, Torador is a tank, and he's an pretty good tank, but as a hero and a lord and everything, yeah, I'd say he's a better hero than Brokkir. But in terms of being a tank, it's Brokkir and Cyrus. They're the best two in the game, and I will show you now. So Guild Boss 2, he can be really good because of his, he can tank, and then he can be the reduction passive that he gives to all adjacent tiles. Gear Raid 2, a lot of tanks work, but he's the best one, and he has got the Unyielding as well, his Frozen State. Gear Raid 3, he would just tank the middle, not a top option. Gear Raid 4, ties for the top tank in the game for that. Gear Raid 5, ties for the top tank in the game for that. AMR, as good as you can get, but many tanks work, so an S is fine. Void Rift, top tank in the game for Void Rift, him and Cyrus. Same thing with Campaign. Faction Trials, only an S, because like all the Northern tanks are good for this, so he's replaceable, but he's still the best option. Probably him and Crodor, because Crodor has the crazy passive that helps all the Northerners. Then we got Conqueror, some of the top strats in the realm. Use him, easy triple S's with that crazy mitigation from the damage reductions he shares. Awesome. Tank Codex, surprisingly, not that good because he doesn't have extra block. Still good, though, because he can tank really well. Guild Wars, a horror, so scary going up against him on those defenses. This is, if you care about Guild Wars and you don't have him, you should summon for him here. And then single target AoE, whatever. It's just, if you need a tank, not meta, but you could do it. So there you have it. That's what it's going to be. I hope I answered your questions. Basically, if you're a collector or you foresee future content that might require some kind of cycle hero, bursty hero, you're going to want Xena. That's kind of where I fall. I don't have many summons right now, so I probably will just go for, like, hopefully I can hit one legendary, and hopefully it's Xena. That's what I'm going to do. But I totally would be comfortable with people not going for the spanner, especially if you already have a copy of Brokkir. Xena is really exciting, sexy kind of hero, very unique, very, very powerful, as you saw. But, I mean, if you've got a fleshed out account, I don't see her helping you push so many progression milestones right now. That being said, if you need help in Gear Raid 2, if you need help in Gear Raid 5, Gear Dungeon 2, if you have a nice cycle strat with an Infernal and you're close to 50k but not yet there, like, she's going to get you all of that. So it's specific what she can do right now. If you're struggling with the Lasir boss, she will kill it for you. Specific what she's able to do in the game right now with the content we have. So if you have a very full account and you're deep in the game, unless you're a collector or you just like her, I don't think you need to go for her. If you're progressing, I probably still would hold off for someone more universal. But in general, you don't have to feel bad going for her. She's stupidly strong for what she does. And then Brokkir, like I said, great awakenings if you care a ton about Guild Wars and stuff. But at A0, he's good enough for all PvE content. So if you already have a copy, I wouldn't really think about it. If you have more questions, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh, frick. Can't talk. Share with your mother. God dang, not a good day.
Fastidious.